the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Wednesday morning. We're glad that you joined us wherever it is and whenever it is that you join us each and every day here on the Auburn Blitz Podcast and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. Brett and Faith here with you on a hump day. Good to see you, Faith.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Always ripping and roaring. A little bit behind this morning. I had to take care of something, but we are here nonetheless, and a lot to talk about. We kind of say that every day, but we do have a lot to talk about. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on here, right?
Right.
So a lot to talk about. Got visitors in. We talked about those last couple of days. We'll hit back on those and the ones coming in this weekend. It will be the last OV weekend for Auburn. We've talked about that as well. And as you can see at the bottom, I said the roster won't be the problem this year. And the last couple of days, there's been a little bit of, I guess, semi-panic from Auburn fans looking at maybe the way some of these recruits are trending and it not feeling real good. And then maybe some of the guys that are committing and, you know, maybe not ones that were on the radar or not ones that were high up the priority list for fans, maybe for coaches, but not for fans. So we'll talk about that. And we all know what the cure-all is to all of this, and we'll dive into that here in just a little bit. But first, as we always get started here on the Auburn Blitz, we could not do our program without our great partners. And as always, we start with Cedarian.
Cedarian fare that's cool and clean. Call on Cedarian. They are the carrier experts for the state of Alabama, proud supporter of Auburn Blitz podcast and Auburn University athletics. It's hot, which means your AC units are going to be running. And if you want a reliable AC unit, you're going to want to go with a carrier unit. And getting it installed with Cedarian is going to save you thousands of dollars. And we all want to save money.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Scout Program Management, a full-service construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in educational projects like new school builds, renovations, all of those things. If you want somebody to make sure your project's done correctly, it is Scout Program Management. They take you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product. You don't have to worry about anything. They will handle it for you. When you get the keys to your new facility, it will be done correctly. Go to Scout Program Management for the best in the business.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. They've got 27 different sports on the golf simulator bays. They've got 6 golf simulator bays, and you can rent them out with your friends for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. They've got a bar, and they've got great food there. So go over to Bunkers. They've got 50 parking spaces downtown in the parking garage, and it is so much fun over there. They're open today and the rest of the weekend. So head over to Bunkers.
Absolutely. Head to Bunkers. One of our absolute most favorite places in Auburn. All right. Faith, we'll start with the roster. And the reason I brought that up today, and you're like, why are we talking about Auburn's roster on a Wednesday in June? Because the talk that we've had the last few days kind of centers around Auburn's recruiting class coming up and all the big time OVs that have been going, you know, that have been coming in and still to come in this weekend. And then, you know, the commitments coming in the first week of July. We know about all of those. You've sat down with a lot of these guys and they've told you personally what their commitment date is going to be. And then yesterday we went into detail about don't get too upset if a guy doesn't commit to your team, a la Auburn. You're still in the game. And if they do commit to you, guess what? You got to fight off everybody else to keep them. So it's a long marathon process. Do you feel good? I mean, Auburn's already got 8 commitments in this class. You got to worry about holding on to those guys. You want them to do well. If they're doing well, that means other teams are going to get interested in them. In the whole scheme of things, Auburn has always been a school that closes really, really strong late. They did again last year. If you want to look at some top flips, I mean, Auburn flipped Perry Thompson, didn't they? They flipped Cam Coleman was committed to Texas A&M forever. So we had Tristan Keys in yesterday, and he's committed to LSU. And then you got Cedarian Morgan coming in this weekend. So we'll dive into all that. The reason I say that is it goes back to one more thing. One more time, we're going to say this. Winning is the cure-all for all of this. And if we don't win this year, the roster will not be the problem. Right. The roster's not going to be the problem if we don't win this year. And we're going to go through the roster again. I know we did it in the spring, but it's always good to get a refresher and to look at kind of our depth chart and what goes behind that. But, I had a buddy send something over yesterday, and I know probably others have talked about this because it's been kind of the unicorn for Auburn, and that's a first-round draft pick. We ain't had one since 2020. And you want to go back and you look, and we're on who is it? Is it us and Vanderbilt are on the longest streak? Mm-hmm. We do something on that months ago,
right?
About I guess back when the NFL draft was going on.
Yeah, we did.
But according to one guy on CBS Sports, buddy of ours sent this over. You look at it according to him, and again, it's just one person. Auburn's got 3 guys potentially in the first round. 3. Auburn hadn't had one since 2020, and then you're looking at potential of 3 being in this. So I'm not going to just focus on them. Obviously, that's a great place to start, but my God, if you got 3 first-round draft picks on your team, Faith, the roster shouldn't be the problem. I'm just trying to be about as blunt as I can be.
Well, and it's about time too, after the long-awaited couple years since 2022, and it showed in our record each season.
Yeah, it has. And again, there are direct correlations between success and the players you have and the coaching, the decisions, the calls, the things that, again, players make plays, players win games, but coaches can lose games by putting players in bad situations and making bad calls. It all goes hand in hand. But I look down this roster, and this is not some breaking news. You and I have been talking about this for months. We went to spring football practice. We saw this team. We walked out of there, and the whole thing has been, let's not get overly excited again. Here we go. You get out of spring, and everybody's like, oh, well, here's the expectations coming again. We've had 4 losing seasons in a row. And you and I both have said, what are we, Missouri?
Mm-hmm. Show me, right?
But when you really break this down, and yes, we've had 4 losing seasons. And yes, we've heard Hugh Freeze say we aren't where we need to be. And he's right in that. You don't look down at this roster and say that anymore. That's not a valid excuse for – now, can we use one more really solid recruiting class? Absolutely, 100%. You want to continue to build. But Auburn has a team in place, Faith, and you and I are going to go down this depth chart. They got a team in place that's going to compete every Saturday. There's no excuse for not competing every Saturday.
Yeah, there is no excuse. And I don't think the coaching staff has the excuses that they've had in the past anymore of we haven't had our own recruiting class, because now this is the first full recruiting class by Coach Freeze and his staff. And I don't think they have the excuse anymore of, taking time to develop this team. This is it. This is the year for them.
No, it is. Well, without a doubt. And so when you look at a great football team, where do you start? You start on the lines of scrimmage. So let's start there. When you pull up this offensive line for Auburn, it's the best offensive line. And I know this group has not collectively taken a snap together yet. 3 of them have, but 2 of them are transfers. Well, guess what? That's the beauty of the transfer portal. I know we talk about all the bad things in college football, but when you have a gap, and I didn't talk about this yesterday on the lunch show, Wade and I got into all kind of other stuff, and I forgot to talk about it. The transfer portal really is kind of the new JUCO. You remember teams going to fill gaps and holes by going to JUCO and grabbing a couple of guys that you were deficient. Hey, I'm going to go to JUCO. He's got a couple years eligibility. He's developed. I need a defensive tackle, or I need a cornerback, or whatever. And you go get a guy from JUCO and you fill that hole while you go and recruit somebody from high school to kind of build the depth, right? Well, that's what you do with the transfer portal now. You don't hear about JUCO guys anymore. You know, that used to be like, oh, he's not going to qualify. I'm going to have to send him to a JUCO and he's going to come back or whatever. That's not that's not how it works anymore. I mean, you're out there in the transfer portal picking up guys that have experience that can come in and be an immediate impact. You don't go to the portal, Faith, a lot of times to grab a guy to come stand on the sideline.
No, and this offensive line is the most experienced group on the team this year. And a lot of that has to do with the transfer portal and them gaining experience at other schools, because the three that have been at Auburn, they're seniors and juniors too, but all the other guys are transfers and they've been able to gain experience elsewhere.
Well, we brought up the first round draft picks. Well, the guy on the guy that's the highest on the board for the CBS sports writer is Xavier Chaplin, transfer. We knew he was a big get when Auburn got him. One of the top transfer portal guys overall, period, in this past cycle. And he's going to get the start at left tackle. And this guy believes so much in Xavier Chaplin that he's got him at 12th. If your left tackle is 12th in a mock draft, that's a pretty good start for you being good up front. And then you got a preseason all-SEC center, Connor Lew. Mm-hmm. And then you got two veteran guards in Dylan Wade and Jeremiah Wright that know Connor Lew, that have played with Connor Lew and understands the calls and have been in this offense now for a couple of years. And then you add another solid transfer portal guy in Mason Murphy to the right side. And we're not even talking about depth, Faith. We're talking about the guys that are starting on this front line. I don't know. I went back through and I looked. I don't remember an offensive line having this much potential. Now, I haven't gone out and blocked anybody yet, but I don't remember an offensive unit up front for Auburn this solid, and good Lord knows when.
Yeah, it feels like forever, especially just because the offensive line is what directs the quarterback, and they just play such a big role in the offense that it's shown that we've struggled and lacked in that area.
But kudos again to this coaching staff for all the criticism they've taken on other things. They have gone out in the portal and they have not only just filled holes, they've gone out and gotten some really key guys, and maybe 4 of the most key guys on offense are transfer portal guys, 2 offensive linemen, maybe the top transfer portal guy overall in Eric Singleton coming in, who also, by the way, is a projected first-round draft pick by this guy. And Jackson Arnold, the quarterback from Oklahoma. You bring him in. I mean, we obviously all know he needs to be a key component, because if he's not playing well, the rest of it doesn't matter. But you got such a solid offensive line, Jackson Arnold should be protected.
Absolutely. There's no reason that he needs to look like a chicken with his head cut off, like Peyton Thorne, Hank Brown, everybody has the past 2 years.
So you got that let's we wanted to start there. What's the nucleus of a good football team? There it is. All right, so let's fast forward to this year's recruiting cycle. The results on the field are going to determine how Auburn finishes in recruiting. And I know this won't be the last time the two of us talk about this, but I'm going to say it as loud as I can say it from the top of the mountain again. People don't need to get worried about this recruiting class until the season is well underway. And after the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, you're going to have an idea of where this season's going. Now, then you get a stretch of games where Auburn should win all of them. And then you got some games at the end. Obviously, you got to close strong. But this coming recruiting class is going to be determined on the success that Auburn has on the field this year. That's why we keep saying this. And that's why it's so imminent that Hugh Freeze and this staff win 8 or 9 games. And let me just go ahead and say this. If you got 3 first-round draft picks on your team, potential, now this is not set in stone. Things can change. We ain't even talked about the defensive side. That's where the other potential first-round draft pick is, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But if you got 3, Faith, and you're winning 5, 6, 7 games, I think we've discovered the problem.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're 100% right.
I mean, when you look at it from going 5 years, not having a first rounder to 3, and then everything to go around, man, we're not even talking about the other guys, the players that aren't really going to be looked at to be drafted this year. They're going to have massive impacts. We ain't talk about Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons and those guys. Of course, we're all going to be watching the the running back room this year, and it'll be Damari Alston's turn. We talked about that, but it's going to be running back by committee. This isn't going to be Jarquez Hunter, out there by himself. It'll be Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, Darrell Robinson transferring in, another transfer portal guy I thought was key, and then the freshman Alvin Henderson. And how much playing time would somebody like Alvin Henderson get? We'll just have to wait and see. But that's the offensive side. All right, so we'll shift over to defense. But first, before we do that, more of our partners here on the program, Sure Shot.
Sure Shot, right up 280, headed to Alex City. In Alex City, they've got all your firearm apparel and hunting needs. They sell and trade new and used firearms. Scott up there, they've got very different kind of options. So if you are a lady, or even guys, if you want to learn how to use and operate a handgun, they've got a class in there where they teach you every way possible to keep yourself safe, and how to protect yourself, but also, keep yourself safe from the handgun, being able to use it properly, when to use it and everything, which is really important before purchasing a handgun and any firearm in general. So Sure Shot, Scott knows literally anything. So any questions that you have, call on them at 256-329-0080.
With all the stuff we got going on today and meetings, we may slide into Sure Shot today at some point in time.
Yeah. And Oliver Ross, if you've got a party of 20 people, small private party or a convention, a wedding, anything up to 20,000 people, Oliver Ross is certified and licensed bartenders that, they're able to let you focus on the entertainment purposes, but then they are able to focus on the bartending and making sure that your guest and you are having a good time while you focus on just the actual entertainment side. So stick to the professionals at Oliver Ross and let them take care of all the bartending.
And we love Oliver Ross. We love all of our partners, and we appreciate them so very much. All right, so comment. Luke said AU schedule also pretty easy this year. No Texas, no LSU, no Ole Miss, no Florida, no Tennessee, no South Carolina. Yeah, Alabama, Georgia at home. Baylor, decent non-con. Yeah, I mean, Luke, you're spot on, dude. I mean, I 100% agree with that. Again, it adds more to the ammo of why I think Auburn's getting some love preseason ranking wise. Everybody that has 2 functional eyes that can really see this roster sees that Auburn's talent has drastically increased, and the roster looks so much better. That's what we're talking about now. And then you add in a schedule. Now you got to go to Oklahoma and got to go to Texas A&M. We know that's tough early. That's and then you open up with Baylor. But again, if you're worth your salt and we're tired of excuses, you go out there and take care of business and you get off on the right foot, Faith. You and I have said that till we've thrown it up. But it's the truth. You go out there and you get off on the right foot and you get a win to start the season.
You have to. I don't know how many times we can keep saying that for Auburn.
So, yeah, the combination of the schedule not being overly tough this year, it has obviously been way tougher in the past. Take advantage of that. I think Auburn screwed up last year. I think that was a major egg laying last year. I know you had to travel on the road to Alabama and Georgia, but outside of that, you blew the Missouri game, you blew the Oklahoma game, you blew the Arkansas game, you blew the Cal game. The Vanderbilt game was a joke. I mean, it wasn't Diego Pavia coming in lighting the world up. You just didn't play well at home. No excuses. So all of that mixed in created the sourness of that season last year. Now you go in and fix some problems you have. You still have an unknown at quarterback because he hasn't taken a snap for Auburn, but the potential is there. You and I watched him. You walked away from spring practice pretty excited about our quarterback room. I did too. I mean, both of us thought Deuce Knight looked really, really well to be a freshman to be on campus for a very small amount of time. But you and I were also very impressed with Jackson Arnold.
Yeah. And I think not that I was shocked seeing how well he performed, but it definitely, you could see some of the progression and some of the confidence in him too.
Let's shift to the defensive side. And it's hard not to start with Keldrick Falk. And again, there's the third potential first-round draft pick according to this mock NFL draft that we looked at on CBS. Again, it's just a mock. Everybody don't get all bent out of shape. Everybody's like, what? Keldrick Falk has been, I think, a no-brainer going into this season. Potential first-round draft pick. Now, Eric Singleton hasn't played a snap at Auburn yet, and neither has Xavier Chaplin, but they are two new additions, and there's a lot of hype around those guys, so they warranted that love. And that Keldrick Falk's been here since day one, and we've watched this guy grow and develop. You heard of Morris Williams. I talked to Morris Williams, or Morris Williams talked to us after the spring game, and he said, he got in the transfer portal last year, if people will remember, and thinking about leaving, but learning from Keldrick Falk and being behind him, he said, has helped him so much develop in his game. And he stayed the course. I really think Morris Williams is going to be a force at Auburn this year. Is going to be a guy we didn't see very much of last year that's going to be a contributor, but it was Keldrick Falk, him playing behind him and watching him, that really got him to stay, and the relationship that they built. But Keldrick Falk is a no-brainer there at defensive end, edge rusher guy that everybody's high on. And Hugh Freeze said it the day he got him on campus. He said, this guy's a future All-American if I've ever seen one. Now, he's got work to do, but he's a future, and he has developed into that guy, Faith.
Well, Brett, look at this whole defense, the starters. They've all either been at Auburn since being freshmen, or they've played last year or whatever. But this entire starting lineup on this depth chart is all guys that have been developed through Auburn, and a lot of them are young, a lot are sophomores. And I think a lot of that has to say with just the development process of these guys and how these coaches have been able to grow them and just really transform them.
And I think that's key. And I know, again, we have to pinch ourselves, but saying a bunch of sophomores we say they're veterans now because
right.
they've been here a couple of years. They've again, you get a guy 3 years now, it's shoot, you think you've won the lottery if they're worth a darn. If they stay at your school 3 years, you've done well. And you look down at some of these guys, and there's going to be some of these freshmen that come in and play. You and I are very high on Jordan Crawford. You just went and sat down with his teammate at Parker. And, we've talked about Vodney Cleveland, but Jordan Crawford was a guy that everybody – I told y'all after the Super 7 last year, this is the best defensive tackle I've seen in high school football. And I truly mean that. I don't say that lightly. I've been watching high school football in this state a long time, and he's the most versatile, strongest total package defensive lineman. He's going to play, Faith, and he's going to play a lot on this defensive line. But then you have a guy that we saw develop last year, Malik Blockton, that exploded, from Pike Road. I had the chance to call him in a playoff game a couple of years ago at Benjamin Russell in the 3rd round when Pike Road came up here. And, some guys jump off the field and others, you go, why is there so much hype around that guy? Now, we understood very quickly why Malik Blockton had so much hype around him. He was the best player on the field, and he dictated how that game went and really won the game for Pike Road, if you want to be honest about it. He stayed in Benjamin Russell's backfield. Now, it came down to a last-second field goal they kicked with time running out. But the reason I think Benjamin Russell didn't win that game by 2 touchdowns is because of Malik Blockton. And so you got him as a sophomore and a lot of excitement around him. And then a guy that you and I were just raving about leaving practice was Kieron Crawford. And I'll let you talk about him a minute.
Yeah, he is a transfer, but he didn't start playing football until late in high school. And so the development from him, a lot of that has to do with just being a coachable athlete. And I think that was something that just seeing from him was outstanding. But Kieron, the explosiveness from him and the way that he, from just last season, the way that he just kept getting better and better and became such a he just messed up the quarterback and whatever they were doing and just he wreaked havoc every time. And I think that was something that, his presence has just done so much for this defense. And
he fits that position, that buck position. He is like what you look for in a buck position guy. That's him. He is the mold of that.
Yeah. I think he's got so much more to add after being on this team for a whole year now and being able to just learn more and grow. And I'm really excited to see how much of a mess he can cause the offense that he's playing against to stir up.
Hopefully a lot. Hopefully a big mess, a big old mess. All right, our linebackers. DeMarcus Riddick. He was a 5-star coming out of Chilton County. He played a lot last year. Going to be a key player there. And then Robert Woodyard has bided his time. Okay, he's a unicorn in this world. Robert Woodyard is a redshirt junior, Faith, and was highly touted coming out of high school, but has been relegated to 2nd, 3rd team on the depth chart since he's been at Auburn. Now he has worked his way up to a starting role. Most guys aren't going to hang around 3 years and not get to start. They're going to pack their bags and leave. So Robert Woodyard obviously loves Auburn and believes in what he's been doing. And now it's his time to shine. The opportunity is there for him to showcase what we all knew he had a few years ago, but maybe just wasn't quite ready at this level. So you got those 2 guys there. But here we go. The secondary for this team is sick. And when you got a secondary that returns a K and Lee, a Jay Crawford, a Caleb Harris, and you get a fully healthy Champ Anthony back, and then you add some guys like Blake Woodby, Eric Winters, Anquan Fagans. This is one of the better secondaries I can remember Auburn having. So again, this is all nothing but potential. This is all talking about what could happen. And it's not just the starting 11 on both sides of the ball. You've got quality depth at a lot of these positions. And so that's why I said the roster won't be the problem this year. And then you couple it like what Luke said with the schedule. And let's be honest, it's not the toughest schedule. There are some tough stretches of the schedule, but everybody's got that. So if Auburn can navigate those first 4 or 5 weeks, and there's some games, obviously, South Alabama, whatever, that you should walk out there and you've just got better talent and you play halfway decent, you win those games. But the Baylor and the Texas A&M and the Oklahoma game, Faith, and I said this back when we were breaking the schedule down, you better split at least minimum, split the A&M Oklahoma games.
Yeah.
You don't need to lose both of them.
No, and I think just the past record of our seasons, we do not need to have the hardest schedule in the SEC because we've not shown that we can compete at all in the SEC.
We have not. And, now you've been fortunate to still be able to recruit well, having losing seasons, and then you get a schedule like this, you better take advantage of it. And it really could be
exactly. That's the thing. Take advantage of this because
we've
had to deal with everything the past couple of years that, okay, if we are going to get better, then we can have some of those harder games. But we don't need to have any of that right now because I don't want to have another losing season.
And how about get off the snide against one of your 2 rivals? All right. How about get a win against Auburn, against Alabama, get a win against Auburn, get a win against Alabama or Georgia? How about do that? How about that outlier? But now you're looking at, if you take advantage of this, Faith, you go out and win 9 games this year. What are these recruits thinking now? All this talk that we're having in June and worrying about this guy committing to this place or whatever, all that's long in the past. You're like, man, we won 9 games. We got a chance to go to the playoffs. You need to come on and join the party. We've got things turned around down here at Auburn. And now you're on the rise. And now everybody's talking positive, and Auburn's got a really big buzz. And, hey, let me not undersell this right here, okay? Alex McPherson may be as important or more important than anybody coming back on this team this year. We know how special teams cost Auburn at least 2 football games last year. And this is not a cut on anybody. Tip of the hat to Towns Magoo coming in as a true freshman, having to do what he did. But Alex McPherson is a game-changing kicker. And, thankfully he was able to get through all of the stuff he was dealing with health-wise. And now he's back playing and looks better than you and I've seen him ever. And so kicking for Auburn was a horrible experience last year, really top to bottom. And when you're bad in special teams, you're probably going to lose a majority of the close games, and we did. And then you look at, the punting situation, and, we just, the whole special teams was not good last year. But Alex McPherson coming back, let's not undersell that. We talk about offensive linemen and receivers and quarterbacks and defensive backs and linebackers and everybody. When you got a kicker like Alex McPherson, that is a massive weapon. So thank God. Let me just say that we got that guy back.
Yeah, and we hope that he stays healthy because not only for our sake, but his sake, just staying healthy and making sure that, he's okay, most importantly.
100%. So there's the roster. Again, it won't be the last time we go back and look at that. There won't be the last mock draft that comes out. There'll be a lot of things going on over the next couple of months as we get ready to head into football season. It's crazy. We're midway through June already. I don't know where the summer's
Not quite.
Well, kind of. I mean, real maybe
Not quite.
Not quite halfway, but we're getting close. By the end of the week, it will be. So again, 4th of July, and then we'll have media days coming up the 15th, and then we'll be blinking, and it'll be time to get the season started. A couple more of our partners here on the program, and Jake's on his way to my house right now.
Yay!
So, Old Number One Customs.
Old Number One Customs, they will take your master bath, your any bathroom actually, kitchen, outdoor living area, whatever it is, and they will fully transform it in just 2 weeks. So stick with the professionals. Don't DIY it in 2 years. Get it done in 2 weeks with the professionals at Old Number One Customs. Like Brett said, Jake is on the way to his house right now. So I can't wait for Brett to have a little montage for everybody. And I can't wait to see the results because that's so exciting.
It is. It's exciting. Looking forward to it. 334-752-6162 if you need a remodel done on your house, and I'm sure you do. Don't hold off. Just go ahead and make the call.
JFA Blue Plumbing, if you need, which everybody needs, filtered water in your entire house out of every single faucet, they've got the Home Alice Water Filter Duo that they will install for only $15.99. And you can't put a price on your health because I can guarantee going to the hospital is going to be so much more. So JFA Blue Plumbing is going to make sure that you've got purified filtered water coming out of every faucet. And that's super, super important when your body's made up of 75% of water. So call on JFA Blue Plumbing at 844-JFA-BLUE.
And to finish up the show, again, thanking all of our partners there. Visitors coming in. We'll talk more about some of those tomorrow. Look, I get texts all the time about Cedarian. Benjamin Russell will be at the 7-on-7 camp tomorrow. We'll be there, Faith, covering all the teams. We're going to, get around as many. That'll go on all day. We won't be there all day, obviously, but looking forward to watching some of the teams coming in for the 7-on-7 tomorrow. But Cedarian will be coming in with his official visit this weekend. And look, we all know the tie that I have to Benjamin Russell and Randy, and now you joining our crew on Friday nights. But and all of the players that have come from Benjamin Russell that have been a pipeline to Auburn. I can go down the list: Michael Goggins, Eric Brock, Marquise Gunn, El Toro Freeman, now Malcolm Simmons. I can just keep going on. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Tyrone Martin, just keep on listing them. Cedarian Morgan is the highest rated guy out of that whole bunch. And every one of those guys I named have been outstanding players for Auburn. They have come in, and Marquise Gunn and Eric Brock were, just phenomenal players. I can just keep going down the list. Michael Goggins and El Toro Freeman were on the national championship team in 2010. Malcolm Simmons is one of the most dynamic players that we've seen, and he's on this team. He's going to really contribute this year to Auburn's success. He had a great season last year. But Cedarian Morgan's a difference maker. Cedarian Morgan, they don't make them like this every year. 6'4.5", 6'5", 215, 220 pounds, and can run the way he runs and as strong as he is. Off the hoof, he looks like a guy you'd line up on the edge and be an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. Most guys are like, he's going to move to defense. His future's at defense, blah, blah, blah. Now, the hands of this guy you see a hybrid tight end type position for Cedarian Morgan. He could just cause so many matchup problems with his speed and athleticism. I get texts daily. What's Cedarian going to do? What's Cedarian going to do? And you know that. I tell you about all of it. I don't know what Cedarian's going to do. I've got a feeling of what I think Cedarian's going to do. And all of you aren't going to like the feeling that I have. But again, you need to understand that whatever he does on July the 2nd, the game's not over. Either if he pulls the trigger and commits to Auburn or if he commits to Alabama, because I really think it's down to those two. Now, he may shock everybody and commit to Florida. And, Florida, I think's maybe a little bit bigger player than people think they are. He likes Florida. He's been there a bunch. I think he had a great trip to Georgia a couple of weeks ago. I'm not trying to straddle the fence here. I'm saying that, I would think he's a lean maybe toward Alabama, but he's got to make 2 visits. He hadn't been to Auburn or Alabama on OV yet. He's coming to Auburn this weekend, and he's going to Alabama next weekend. So then he said to you on the interview, I'm going to take a couple weeks to sit down and think about all of it, once all of it's over, and sit down with my family and figure out what's best for me. And he's made it very clear. Now, again, we're not there with every decision and everything that goes into an offer and all that, but he has said it multiple times that relationships
really matter,
have been the most important thing to him, and the coaches that reach out to him and have been with him the longest are going to have the biggest impact on his decision.
Yeah, and that's just the kind of kid he is, and taking the time that he wants to get it done before his senior season starts. But like you said, it's not over wherever he decides to go. So whether he doesn't go to Auburn or whether he does, maintaining him is a huge thing. And if he doesn't, winning games and showing him the kind of offense that he can be put in on is going to be really important.
You sat down with him first before anybody and talked to him in depth about this whole process. And the thing that I've noticed is what he said to you way back when in that interview, Faith, has played out exactly how he said it was going to play out. The teams he wanted to go visit, the way he wanted to do it, and the level of importance of relationships. So that's a little bit of a summation on Cedarian. It's exciting to have him on campus this weekend, and I think him being from Benjamin Russell and the pipeline Auburn has had from, literally right down 280 from Benjamin Russell to Auburn has been outstanding. But, again, Cedarian will make his decision based on what he feels like is best for him and his opportunity. And look, again, we just went through a whole show talking about this roster and this schedule. It's not going to – whatever happens July 2nd, now he may commit somewhere and stay with that eventually. But his recruitment won't be over, and neither will it be for any of these other kids. A lot of them are going to still take visits in the fall to games. They're going to travel around. So there's no doubt with him being 35 minutes up the road, he's going to take some trips in the fall to Auburn, whether he's committed to Auburn or he's committed somewhere else. So you got to keep recruiting the guys, and you got to go win some football games to convince these guys that are on the fence that, hey, I can come to Auburn and I can be part of a team that can compete for a national championship. Hadn't most of them said that to you in these interviews?
Yeah, they have. They've said a lot of them have won high school state championships and they want to go win national championships. And I fully understand the excitement behind a high school one probably doesn't even compare to a national championship. And if you know that you're good enough to be on a high school state championship, you want to go play for a team that you can make a national championship happen.
100%. You can't win a national championship if you can't have a winning record. So got to turn that around. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for us here today. Again, we want to thank all of our partners on the program. Can't do it without them. They make us who we are. All of you out there that have subscribed to get us over 8,000 subscribers, we really appreciate all of you out there. Keep spreading the word. If you like what we do here on the Auburn Blitz, tell everybody about it. Hit the like button. It really helps us out, helps the channel out, build that up for us. Again, we enjoy what we do every single day. We want to bring you the most in-depth content that we can get access to. And we're glad that you make Auburn Blitz a part of your daily Auburn intake whenever it is, whether you watch with us live in the mornings or you catch us later on in the day or whenever here watching us, and our reels. Faith does a good job of putting our reels out, try to snip a couple of things out of each podcast to push out. So you can catch some of those, and maybe that'll lead you to our channel as well. But Faith, as always, we want everybody to go out, since it's hump day, heading toward the weekend already. We want everybody to have what?
The best day ever.
And a big old
War Eagle.